Hey guys, my name is Frank from The Simple Gospel. Just want to say thank you guys so much for checking out my channel. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe so we can get this growing. I just want to drop a quick video for you guys. Basically a couple weeks ago was my birthday, 26 years. I'm feeling pretty feeling pretty old right now, even though everybody tells me I'm young, which is kind of funny. But kind of something that is big is that I accepted Christ on my birthday 5 years ago, and basically it went from completely walking, like not even like being close to God, and then being brought to a point where I followed him. So one thing that just kept on going through my mind, which that I want you guys to kind of find as well, is where were you when you first found Christ? Because if I'm gonna be honest, I mean, you guys, a lot of you guys know me, see me serve, in the churches and everything. It's kind of funny to think about it. I was a homeless drug addict. I was literally stealing food just to eat. I got good at stealing. I used to go into like 7-Elevens and come out with a bunch of protein bars and stuff like that, and I was just doing anything I could to support my habit. And that's kind of the crappy thing, because like if you name a drug, I've done it. And I don't say that out of pride. I say that out of, like, if God can use literally a homeless drug addict, certainly he could use you. So when God found me, man, I was pretty low. I remember the first time I heard God was me and a girl broke up, and I didn't have a car at the time, and I'd walk to her house, and it would literally take me like 3 hours to walk there. It's like a 10-minute drive, but walking, and so I'd walk there, and it's crazy because I got 10 feet from her house, my iPod died. And I just remember staring outside of her window, and I used to, of course, in like high school, you're like, you like sneak into there, and like you guys start making out and stuff like that. And after our breakup, I know if I just went in there and just made out with her, we could have just made things, it would have just been rinse and repeat, But I would just remember sitting, like just standing there. And not even 5 feet from me was the window when I saw her shadow, and it was her like reading a book like she always did, and I just remember looking there, and with every part of me it just said turn away. And that's when I started crying out to God, and I was like, oh God, why do you hate me? Because you know how you are when you have that first love. You're like, God, this is so hard. Nothing is harder than this. But in that moment, that was the first time he let me know he was there. Now, of course, every single day before that, I always knew God was real. For some reason, I just hated God. And after that moment, it started a journey. Now, I hit some very low lows. I mean, I hit rock bottom after that. I used to party and drink just to party and drink, but I started to party and drink just to find an escape, and then I just started progressing more and more, and then you start putting all of your money and time and energy into these things which just rob you. Whether it's drugs or sex or alcohol, these things rob you of what God has meant for you. So, when I look at life now, after 5 years, God literally took this homeless drug addict who was literally a monster of a human being, and put him into youth ministry, and took him across the world, to do ministry. And it's kind of crazy to think about that. And not everybody needs this big story. If you've never done drugs, if you've never had to struggle with those things, thank God. Because those were all my dumb decisions, and I'm grateful that you haven't had to make those dumb decisions. So when I think about the comfort of now, and where God literally brought me from, This verse from Deuteronomy 6:12 says, "Then watch yourself, that you do not forget the Lord who brought you out from the land of Egypt and out of the house of slavery." So don't forget where you came from. If I had like 3 points on this, the first one would be, don't forget where you came from. Because we get caught up in church comfort. Oh yeah, Sunday mornings, oh youth group, oh let's all hang out, let's go to a restaurant afterwards. It's like Sunday morning, and then you get something to eat, then you take a nap. It's so comfortable. Or that you're on Instagram and you check out stories of like coffee shops, and everybody's like hashtag Isaiah, and they'll be out like a new coffee shop or something, or even just video games. It's so easy. It's so easy. And I'm making this for myself so I can watch this and be reminded of myself that, hey, it's so easy to look at the troubles of today when you forget the mountains God has already carried you through. So my second question is, what was a time in your life that you didn't think that you can make it through? Because you're here. In that moment, you didn't think you'd be here, but you are. And I always say that we're not even walking through this. God is carrying us through this. He's carrying us through the sea, just as the same way that when Peter fell in the water, God lifted him up. The same way in Proverbs says that the righteous man falls 7 times to get back up again. We've fallen. We've gone through some trials, guys. But look at this, we made it through. And to be honest, there's been a lot of times in my life where I never thought I'd be able to make it through. Like, I've struggled with depression and suicide multiple times. I've tried everything from overdosing to on pills to driving a motorcycle over 140 miles an hour on drugs, just hoping something would slip or somebody would hit me or I'd crash, because I was honestly too afraid to just drive my motorcycle into a wall. I was just too afraid to kill myself because I was just afraid, but I didn't want this life anymore. And last year, 2017, was very rough for me because I lost the woman I was in love with. I was basically stripped of the titles and church that I found my identity in. And that could be a whole nother lesson, because it's so easy to let what you do in church dictate what you think your value is, when in reality your value comes from Christ, not what you do for him. Because so many times, it mentions, even in Ephesians, I'll show you this, Ephesians 2:8-9. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not as a result of works, so that no one may boast. This is a gift, so we can't even if we wanted to earn it, and we try to earn it. I know I have. But we let that get in the way because we're like, oh, I'm the pastor, or I'm the worship guy, or I'm the youth guy, or oh, I'm this, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. Sounds like the prodigal's brother. God, didn't I do these things? Didn't I do these things for you? But that's a little off topic, but I'll still keep that in the video. But basically, when you find your identity in something besides Christ and that's taken away, man, that hurts. And last year, like I said, I was stripped of the titles in church. I did so many things there, and I was isolated because, bad breakup, and when you have the same group of friends, man, that it just happens naturally. Some people, there's always a choice, but all of those things I did to myself, and I would literally go weeks without talking to other people. So when you find a man who has lost his love, his identity, and his hope, man, that's a pretty dangerous mix. And I'm saying this to be transparent, because I feel like in church we aren't transparent enough. Everybody always acts like they're all perfect and they got everything together, even if they don't. And that's the beauty of it. But I know if God didn't love me, I wouldn't be alive. because of the miracles he worked out in 2017 to carry me through. So I ask you one more time, and I want you to write this down. So either put it on your phone, I mean, you can't, you're watching on YouTube, but grab a piece of paper. It's this important. Where were you when Christ found you? What sins were you struggling with? What sins were you committing? I know for me, it was like drug abuse, sex, porn, a lot of these really bad things. What were you struggling with? Was it the time somebody took advantage of you? Or was it a rough childhood? What were you struggling with? And why did you choose to follow God? Because if we find out what caused us to, because if we're going to be honest, I mean, a lot of us may have had a wonderful life and God was like right there. He's like, hey, buddy, I'm here. And you accepted him. Thank God. But not everybody has it that easy. And if you do have it that easy, why did you even choose to follow him? Because you had everything. So there must have been something. But remember where you came from. And what a great gift that we've been given. You know, when you think about Ephesians, when you think about the fact that this is a gift that God has given you, and it's a gift of God and not a result of works, so that no one may boast. And I know it's so easy to just get caught up in, God, look how great I'm doing. When are the blessings gonna come? You know, God, wow, God, did you see that? God, I put a little bit more in the tithe today. Did you see that? God's less concerned about the works that you're doing versus why you're doing them. Because if we're doing it for ourselves, we might as well not do it at all. But if we're doing our works because the Spirit leads us and we're doing it to glorify God, that is what is going to bring him glory. Because when we're doing things unselfishly, and we're following him unselfishly, it gives us the ability to show Christ in a way that leads others to him. So as a once homeless drug addict, I say that through Christ, healing, change, and miracles are possible. And that is the simple gospel.